to get you, Connor O'Malley.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. I'm here backstage at the Symphony Hall in Birmingham because I'm going on to present an evening of film music. So if you hear any sort of strange musical noises, that's what's going on. I want to talk about A Monster Calls, which is coming out on DVD, which I reviewed when it came out in the cinema on the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon Mayo. And it's a film which I've gone back and watched again since I first saw it. And the more I watch it, the more important, the more profound I think it is. You'll probably know the story. The screenplay is written by Patrick Ness, and it's based on source material for which he was responsible. And it's a story about a young boy who is obsessed with anxiety about losing his mother, and he is visited by this kind of monstrous tree creature, the monster calls of the title, voiced and played by Liam Neeson. And the film was described in the publicity as a sort of fantasy movie, and that's how it's thought of. It's thought of as as a fantasy, a childish fantasy, a story which is all about imaginary creatures. And it's directed by J.A. Bayona, who made The Orphanage, which is a real favourite of mine. And one of the things I love about the film is, yes, it is a fantasy, but it's absolutely about something which is completely real. It's about dealing with grief. It's about dealing with anxiety. It's about dealing with alienation. It's about dealing with the fear of loss. And the more I thought about the film, the more I thought that this is actually the key to all the best fantasy writing and fantasy filmmaking. I think of the films which I love the most, films like Pan's Labyrinth, a story half of which takes place in a sort of imaginary underworld, which is every bit as real as the stuff going on above ground. And that's a movie in which, yes, it's a fantasy, but it's about a real thing. It's about the Spanish Civil War. It's about politics. It's about personal relations. It's about a young girl's coming of age voyage. In the case of A Monster Calls, it's a film which deals with a subject which is frankly unspeakable in some ways, but deals with it in a way which is metaphorical and which is understandable by its audience. When I was a kid, I used to love watching horror movies, and people used to say, why? What is it? Why do you want to be scared? Why do you want to watch all these things? I said, because they make sense to me. I remember talking to Clive Barker, and Clive Barker saying that he loved monsters. He loved the monstrousness of horror stories and ghost stories because somehow they seemed more real to him than the reality of his world. Guillermo del Toro, who very much hangs like a kind of inspirational shadow over A Monster Calls, said the same thing. When he was a kid, he believed absolutely in monsters. In fact, he made friends with them so they wouldn't scare him anymore. A Monster Calls is a proper grown-up film. It deals with proper adult themes, but it deals with them in a way which is universal, which uses the language of fairy tales to talk about something which is grown up and yet is universal and is absolutely speaking to the child in all of us. I watched the movie again last night because I've been sent a preview disc of it, and I was amazed by how quickly it reduced me to tears. It's a brilliant piece of fantasy cinema, but the reason it works so well is that it's absolutely realistic.
You will tell me your nightmare. No. Yes, that will be your truth.
And if I don't